With the number of foreclosures on the rise and mortgage forbearance ending for many out there, what should we expect to see in the housing market over the next couple of months as we head into 2022? Well, currently you still have a lot of people out there calling for a housing market crash. But at the same time, you've got Goldman Sachs saying that they're expecting 16% appreciation in home prices next year, as well as Zillow coming out saying that they expect nearly 12% in appreciation. So you got two different sides, right? Depending on what you're watching will dictate what people are saying with regards to the housing market. Well, as someone that's been talking about the housing market for the last couple of years, trying to give you up-to-date information on what's happening with the data, as well as somebody with boots on the ground, that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you what I think is going to happen in the housing market based on what's already happened and what we should expect this time of year based on typical seasonality. Now, I'll be completely transparent. I was wrong. I was wrong about the housing market because a couple of weeks ago, I came out and said that I expect the housing market to continue to slow through the end of the year. Now, this was coming out of a period of time where we started to see the number of homes available, the amount of inventory rise on the market. We started seeing buyer demand kind of slow a little bit, and I thought we had started to enter that fall-winter market. I thought we were going to see a slowdown through the holidays, reaching our lowest level of inventory at the end of the year, which is pretty typical of our housing market, regardless of what's going on in it, right? Because you have the holidays going on, things tend to slow down during that time of year. And I expected, based on what we had just seen, for that to more or less happen. But I was wrong. What I've seen is exactly the opposite of that. We've seen the housing market pick back up. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I said that I thought we had reached our lowest level of inventory that we would see all year, but I don't know that that's actually the case because what we're seeing at the moment is buyer demand pick up. We've seen inventory levels drop off, which is creating, a similar market as to what we saw in the spring. Now, we're not seeing quite the craziness as the spring market. We're not seeing quite as many offers on every house going way, way, way above the asking price, but we are seeing multiple offers on properties going above fair market value in some cases, going above the asking price in many cases, creating a similar environment as to what we saw back in the spring. Now, typically, I would tell you if you were a buyer and you were looking to buy a property, the best time to try to get a deal is typically during that fall-winter market, right? That's generally the time of the year when people only put their homes on the market if they really need to sell them, right? Nobody wants to go through the holidays, having their house on the market, having family over, going through Christmas and Thanksgiving and what have you, having to deal with selling their property. But this year, I don't think that's actually the case. I think you're going to see a hot housing market through that time of year because I believe that inventory levels are going to stay low and I think buyer demand is going to stay high. Now, if you've been following my channel for any period of time, you know I often talk about inventory levels here in Southern California. And we saw inventory levels rise about 25% about a month and a half ago, but all of that inventory that was added to the market is now gone. So we're back to the same inventory levels that we had a couple of months ago, but at the same time, we've got buyer demand picking up. Now, is it picking up because people have seen rising interest rates? Is it picking up because, buyers stopped looking during the summer, they got back into their homes now that school started and they're realizing that they still want to move? Or is it picking up because buyers think that home prices are going to continue to appreciate and they don't want to get stuck paying more for a home later if they could just purchase that home today? I think that's one of the most difficult questions to answer in the housing market at the moment is the unknown of why people are actually buying property. So what does it actually mean if you're a home buyer looking to purchase a property? It likely means increased competition over the next couple of months. I think you're going to have less and less inventory come to the market just because of the time of year. And, I think a lot of people are waiting to the spring to put their homes on the market because sellers know that the spring market is typically the best time of year to get the most amount of money for your home. It's seasonality in the market, and every single year, that's the case. And I can tell you in talking to a lot of sellers right now on listing appointments and people reaching out to me asking questions, a lot of people are considering putting their homes on the market in the spring of 2022. Now, are they waiting because they don't want to deal with the headache of having people walk through their home during the holidays? Or are they waiting because, they think that the market's going to appreciate a little bit more and they can get more money for it then? I think it's a combination of both. I think a lot of people are looking at the market at the moment, thinking if I sell my property, where do I move? And they're looking at the inventory levels, thinking there's nothing really out there for me to move into. So therefore, I'm going to wait with the hope and the expectation that in the spring, there's more options for me to choose from. And so by listing my home then, I have a better chance of actually finding what I want versus if I sell now, I potentially have to do a rent back or go rent something for a couple of months. And that's not really something that they want to consider. At least that's the conversation that we're having. So if you're a home buyer and you're looking to purchase over the next couple of months, I don't believe this is going to be the year, the season that you're actually going to be able to get a home for a discount during that fall winter market. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is typically the time of year that you only see the people that need to sell their homes put their homes on the market. I think this year is a little bit different. I think you have some people out there that just don't want to wait any longer, right? They see the writing on the wall with regards to home prices continuing to go up, and they don't want to pay more for a home later. And you also have some people that are putting their homes on the market because, quite frankly, they think that there's a market top, right? They think that there's going to be a housing market crash or some big catastrophe in the housing market, another crisis, if you will. And so they're looking to take advantage of the market now with the expectation that maybe in the spring it's going to sell for less. Either way, there's just not a lot of options out there at the moment with the available inventory. So you're going to have that increased buyer demand, as I mentioned, which means multiple people bidding against you if a home is priced correctly. Now, in some cases, you'll have homes that are overpriced in many markets out there. Sellers just trying to shoot for the moon, if you will. And in those cases, those homes aren't going to sell for multiple offers or over the asking price, right? They might be lucky to actually get the asking price at the end of the day after it sits on the market for some extended period of time. But even then, what I can tell you is that until something changes with supply and demand, you're not likely to see a real change in the housing market. And that's something I've been preaching for the last year and a half. The other day, I had a viewer reach out to me, ask me why I don't believe rising rates are going to have an impact on the housing market. And, I think they misunderstood me because I do think rising rates are going to have an impact on the housing market. I just don't think they're going to create the type of crisis or housing market crash that a lot of people want to see out there. A lot of people are predicting out there. I do think rising rates is going to slow buyer demand, and that slowing buyer demand will allow inventory to increase. And at some point, inventory is going to increase to a level where home prices are going to have to start to pull back. But we're months, maybe years away from that happening, right? At the moment, nationwide, we have about maybe 2.5 months supply of available inventory. In a normal market, a balanced market, if you will, we have about 6-7 months of supply of homes on the market. So at the moment, we need inventory levels to double and then almost double again in order to create a balanced market. A balanced market where buyers and sellers are equal, right? There's no real favor in either side. But in order to create a buyer's market, you got to have inventory levels almost triple from where they are at the moment. And all we've seen is inventory levels actually decline, right? As soon as inventory comes to the market, it's met with buyer demand. And so a lot of you out there are going to say, well, when foreclosures continue to come to the market and forbearance ends, that's going to change. Well, yes, it is going to add some inventory to the market, but it's not going to be enough to really change the environment. So you can argue that I don't know what I'm talking about and that, I never provide data in these videos and I'm just a talking head or what have you. But what I would say is that my reputation speaks for itself with regards to these videos, right? I've been talking about it, the housing market, for the last couple of years, and everything that we've talked about is there, right? It's there for you to go watch. If you have questions about what I said, right? I'm not out here telling you that you need to buy or sell a home. I just want to, again, provide you with accurate information so that you can make sensible decisions. But if you're wondering if you should buy a house now or wait, check out this video here. I dive into it in more detail with some data. But for now, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. I appreciate your support. Hope to see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.